Welcome back. This is Puretsu Pizza Power here with episode 2 of AJPW Beyond the Best, and we are going to get rolling with night 3 of the Champion Carnival from Nagoya, which is headlined by one of the much anticipated block matches. But before we get to the action, a little bit of business to attend to, and it's not the best of news, unfortunately, as we are going to be losing Seiki Yoshioka to New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's right, our former junior champion and multiple time All Asia tag champion will be leaving after he's been negotiating with New Japan. He's been in negotiations with New Japan since the beginning of the save, and he signed with New Japan, so he is wrapping up his time with us here in All Japan. So we wish him well, and unfortunately these things are going to occur given our placement compared to some of the other promotions in Japan, and of course the big daddy being New Japan Pro Wrestling. So sad to see Seiki Yoshioka go, but we will keep on rolling. And speaking of which, we roll on to Champion Carnival Night 3, and it is headlined by the ace, the best of the best, the Triple Crown champion, Kento Miyahara, and Yuma Anzai. This is one of, if not the most anticipated of the block matches, and these two last met a few months ago in a bout with the Triple Crown on the line. Miyahara retained that night, but Yuma Anzai definitely gave him one heck of a nail-biting challenge. So Yuma Anzai, a lot of eyes on him as being the man that could potentially one day surpass Miyahara as the ace of All Japan Pro Wrestling. So there's going to be a lot of buzz and a lot of eyes on this contest here tonight. Looking at the rest of the card, there's a few weaker bouts. I'm looking at Oddyssey and Kuma Arashi. I'm not expecting too much from that one. Madoka Kikuta and Jun Saito. Let's see how they gel. That could be a bit of a toss-up as well. But let's get to it without further ado. And we open up with Go Shiozaki defeating Talos in a decent match following a limit break that secured the pinfall in 15 minutes 31. And the match was designed that the wrestlers could go and steal the show, which was probably a lofty goal. Go Shiozaki has an in-ring performance of only 46, which is a bit low for Shiozaki. Talos with an in-ring performance of 33. Both men were visibly tiring towards the end of the match, but despite this, the crowd were hot and rising at the end of the bout. It got the show off to a strong start, and the fans were buzzing overall. So alright, we move on from that 42 rated match into more block action. It's all block action on this show, by the way, and we have an interesting development here as one of our 6-man TV tag champions, Hideki Suzuki, pins one of the tag team champs in Rene Abbey with a fast roll up in the time of 15 minutes 20 seconds. So Hideki Suzuki secures the victory, and the crowd were hotter after this one, white hot in fact, and Suzuki was the best in-ring performer as well with a rating of 50. Moving on to B block action, and oh no, we've got injury. So Yuma Ayagi picks up his first victory of the Champion Carnival. He finally gets on the scoreboard with a win over Ryuki Honda in 15 minutes 54 via way of pinfall. But unfortunately, Ayagi has sustained a bruised eye socket. So we'll just have to see what the story is behind that one. Hopefully he's not going to miss any ring time. We'll find out sure enough. These two had a pretty good chemistry, and it lifted the match, and the crowd were very hot at the end of this one. Ayagi, despite his injury, was still the better in-ring performer with a rating of 58. There's Dory Funk Jr. confirming to us that Ayagi sustained a bruised eye socket in the match. And Ryuki Honda got some heat backstage after the bout, as it was felt that his mistake caused Yuma Ayagi to get hurt. Oh dear, oh dear. And then we go to a very disappointing rated match here. Decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Madoka Kikuta defeats Jun Saito in a surprise finish. I'm sure it surprised Saito as well as some of the fans in attendance. A surprise cradle pinfall, and the match was designed so the wrestlers could tell a specific story. So Kikuta with the victory there. Not the best in-ring performance at 35. Saito was above him with 43, but not a good showing via either man really. They didn't click, and it made for an awkward bout. Jun Saito benefited from having a groundswell of public support. The crowd was very hot at the end of this regardless though. Segment rated 38 overall. Then we move on to what I expected to be the weakest match of the show. Terrible wrestling in this one and little in the way of heat. Oddyssey defeats Agora TV champion Kuma Arashi, potentially securing a title shot down the line. Wow, we can all look forward to that one, can't we? 8 minutes 52 was the time of the pinfall. Falling Power Slam was the finish that Oddyssey used. And Arashi was off his game, which certainly helped make things even worse. Terrible in-ring performance from Oddyssey here with a 25, and Arashi not much better with a 32. Somehow the crowd was still very hot at the end of this one. Whoa, now we move on to a main event that delivered and washed away the memories of what came before it. In a bout that had superb wrestling and good heat, Yuma Anzai defeats Kento Miyahara in 20 minutes 53 via way of pinfall. The match was designed to be an engrossing story-driven spectacle that was slowly built up through psychology and worked towards a dramatic conclusion. And I would say both men delivered. Kento Miyahara had a brilliant and outstanding in-ring performance there with an 86. Look at that. And Yuma Anzai a 56. So you know, we want to get better than that from him, but still, look at the score we got. Regardless, very hot crowd at the end, rated 72 overall, and the match got the crowd buzzing. And Yuma and Sai benefited from having a groundswell of public support, and these two had a great chemistry. So Yuma and Sai picks up a victory over the Triple Crown champion Kento Miyahara. So regardless of what happens in the Champion Carnival now, Yuma and Sai has definitely put himself on the record now for a future opportunity at the Triple Crown Championship, having just pinned the champion here at the Champion Carnival. So a show that had some weak bouts there, but the main event, this was the money match, and I'm very happy with the score that these guys got. So overall, we have a show that got a 65 rating and a popularity increase in 8 regions. So very happy with that overall. It was a one match show, but that one match delivered the goods. Brilliant. So Yuma Aoyagi can work through his bruised eye socket injury. He's going to be suffering from this for 19 days though, so not a good time to get injured during the Champion Carnival. Yuma Aoyagi is one of our best in-ring workers, so anything that can be a detriment to his in-ring performances is not good for us. So unfortunate injury, but at least we haven't lost him. At least he can work through the injury. Ironic really, because Yuma Aoyagi was a replacement in the Champion Carnival for Cyrus. And then he's filled in for Cyrus, and now the guy who filled in for Cyrus has got injured himself. So yeah, but all being well, Yuma Aoyagi will continue to deliver throughout the Champion Carnival. So before moving on to night 4 of Champion Carnival, I just thought I should highlight this little bit of news here that's popped up, and it's quite a big deal on the Japanese scene because Noah will no longer be working with the WWE. So that's a bit of a game changer as far as the power dynamics here on the Japanese scene. Might have no bearing on us here in All Japan Pro Wrestling, but just thought it was a significant bit of news that was worth highlighting. And it is time for night 4 of the Champion Carnival, coming to us from Shinjuku FACE, and our focus tonight will be on A block action with 2 matches in the main event and semi-final spots featuring A block action. The semi-final features Go Shiozaki taking on Rei Sato, and those 2 men both stand at 4 points, so it'll be interesting to see who breaks out of the pack with those 2. And then the main event features the best of the best, Kento Miyahara and the big man from HAVOC, Oddyssey, and they both stand at 2 points. So yeah, we shall see what happens. Let's get things underway. And we start off with B block action with Madoka Kakuta defeating Zion in 30 minutes 31 seconds via pinfall with a fast roll up in front of the 392 people on hand here at Shinjuku FACE. They were treated to an opener that had decent reactions from them but subpar wrestling, and Kakuta and Zion didn't click and it made for an awkward bout, but regardless of that, it still succeeded in getting the show off to a strong start and getting the crowd hotter, and the crowd are indeed hot and rising. Kakuta was the best in-ring performer with an in-ring performance of 45, 40 segment rating overall, and hopefully we move on to better things with the matches that come ahead. And indeed we do, with a 51 rated match in B block with Jun Saito defeating Daisuke Sekimoto in a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling. And this was designed to give an epic feel, and it had the crowd buzzing. Jun Saito benefited from having a groundswell of public support. Daisuke Sekimoto was the in-ring performer though, with 52 rating compared to 41, so quite above Saito there. So yeah, decent match. Moving on to more B block action, and Hideki Suzuki defeats Ryuki Honda via submission with an ankle hold in 16 minutes 10 seconds in a decent bout. Got the crowd hotter as well. Suzuki with an in-ring performance of 51, which was lightning speed ahead of Honda's in-ring performance, which was only a 38. 51 rating overall. Then we have a break from Champion Carnival action with a trios tag, and it is Hokuto Omori, Dan Tamura, and Hikaru Sato defeating the Baka no Jidai members, Seigo Tachibana, who is our World Junior Champion, and he was joined by Yuko Miyamoto and Fuminaro Abe. The finish came at 16 minutes 14 seconds when Dan Tamura continued to build his momentum by pinning Fuminaro Abe. If you remember, on the first night of the Champion Carnival, it was Dan Tamura who scored a pinfall over Seigo Tachibana, potentially putting himself in line for a future World Junior Championship shot. So tensions were definitely apparent between Tamura and Tachibana throughout this trios tag. Dan Tamura did seem off his game in this one, only an in-ring performance of 49 from him. The best in-ring performer was Fuminaro Abe with a 62. And after that 51 rated trios tag, we move back to Champion Carnival block action, and we have a 61 rated match here with Yuma Anzai continuing to build his lava hot momentum following his big win on the Night 3 show over Kento Miyahara. So on this night, Yuma Anzai is once again victorious, defeating Kengo Mishimo in 18 minutes 9 seconds by submission. Good wrestling, decent reaction from the crowd. Yuma Anzai benefited from having a groundswell of public support. An in-ring performance of 63 for Anzai as well. The crowd were left very hot after this one. Moving on, we have Go Shiozaki taking on Rei Saito in the A block. This is our semi-final, and this bout had good heat and decent wrestling. Rei Saito got the victory over Go Shiozaki in 19 minutes 7 seconds via pinfall, and Rei Saito, he had a groundswell of public support, and he was in amazing form as well, and he had an in-ring performance of 54, which was 10 above Shiozaki's, who was only at 44, and after a very hot crowd and 55 rating overall, Rei Saito takes the microphone and he tells the fans that 2026 is the year he goes back to back, winning the Champion Carnival for a second year, and this time he'll make sure he follows through on the victory by winning the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship, because his brother isn't the only Saito brother who belongs on the illustrious list of names who've held the grandest prize in the sport. So Saito once again benefited in this segment with the groundswell of public support. Very hot crowd for this, a 41 segment rating. And then we move into our main event, which is a 62 rating, and that's probably the best rating you will see Oddyssey have in any of his matches here in the Champion Carnival, and I put that down to Kento Miyahara's incredible ability to raise all ships with his talent level. And we get a decent main event because of it, with Kento Miyahara defeating Oddyssey in 13 minutes 28 seconds via pinfall, with what must have been a sight to behold, with a shutdown German suplex hold on a big man like Oddyssey. So the match was designed so the wrestlers could go out and try and steal the show. Miyahara, look at that in-ring performance, 72, and Oddyssey, he only gave us an in-ring performance of 25, and he was visibly tiring towards the end, but the ability of Kento Miyahara to make something of nothing with this one got the crowd buzzing. Miyahara came out of this match looking good. Good stuff here to close the show. And we have a 60 rating there, so pretty pleased about that one. So yeah, that show delivered, and Kento Miyahara certainly gave us the goods in the main event. I did flip around the card. It was going to be Rei Saito and Go Shiozaki in the main event, though I was a bit more confident putting Kento in the main event slot, and sure enough, it did pan out okay for us. I was also very impressed with Yuma Anzai continuing his momentum with a good match with Kengo Mishima. So yeah, a decent card there from Shinjuku FACE. Quite happy with that. And thank you for watching. We'll be back with more Champion Carnival action in episode 3 coming your way very soon.